Naomi Carter, a rising black fashion model, walks the city streets, only to be harassed by a group of men who mock her race and body. But when they touch her, she unleashes her hidden strength as a karate black belt, igniting a storm that spirals beyond the alley. As videos of the incident spread online, the world divides between those calling her a violent aggressor and those hailing her courage, pushing Naomi into a whirlwind of betrayal from her agency, exploitation by brands, venomous media coverage, and a court of public opinion that treats her survival as spectacle. Through tense confrontations, public backlash, and painful betrayals, Naomi's voice sharpens into truth as she refuses to apologize for defending herself, transforming from a silenced model into a fearless symbol of resistance. Her abusers are publicly exposed, stripped of power, and humiliated by their own cruelty, while Naomi reclaims her narrative, reshapes her career on her own terms, and stands as a mirror to systemic racism, harassment, and the price of survival, delivering a story of strength, injustice, and poetic justice that no one can ignore. Naomi stepped out of the studio, heels clicking against the cracked sidewalk. Neon lights from the street bounced off her sequined dress. Hours earlier, photographers had begged her for one more pose, one more turn of her head. She gave them elegance. Out here, the applause was gone, replaced by the ordinary rhythm of the city, impatient horns, murmured conversations, the shuffle of tired workers. "Yo, look at that," a voice called from across the street. Naomi kept her chin high, eyes forward. Another voice joined. "Damn girl, you lost. This ain't no runway. This, the hood." Their laughter followed her steps. Naomi's pace quickened, though her face betrayed nothing. Years of training in modeling taught her how to hold composure, even when every muscle wanted to flinch. "Why are you ignoring us, huh?" one of them shouted. "Too good to talk to black men now? Or you just another white man's toy?" The words hit harder than expected. She had heard worse in boardrooms and fashion castings, where directors compared her skin tone to exotic coffee, or told her to smile softer so you don't look angry. But out here, stripped of studio lights, the words clung heavier. Naomi reached a crosswalk, red light. She stood tall, hands folded at her waist, reflection caught in the shop window. The glass showed two Naomis, one radiant, adorned in designer clothes, the other weary, bruised by invisible scars. Behind her, footsteps grew louder. "Hey, baby, you hear me?" One pressed. Another chuckled. "Bet she can't even run in those heels." Her jaw tightened. She remembered her mother's voice from years back. "Don't let them see you break. You walk like a queen, no matter what." The light turned green. Naomi stepped forward, back straight, gaze fixed, but the voices followed, like shadows unwilling to let her pass. Naomi turned into a side street, her heels clicking against wet asphalt. She wanted distance, silence. Instead, the voices carried with her, bouncing off brick walls. "Damn, she really running from us." One of them jeered. "Running." Another barked out a laugh. "She walking like she's still on that catwalk. Thinks she better than us." The sound of sneakers scuffing pavement closed in. Naomi tightened her grip on her clutch bag, her steps steady. The alley stretched longer than she remembered, streetlights flickering overhead. A man stepped ahead, blocking her path. He was tall, wide-shouldered, with a smirk that curved into something darker. "Where you going, princess?" he asked. Naomi stopped, measured her breath. "Move." His eyebrows lifted. "Move. You got manners like a cop. We just want to talk." The others gathered around, circling. One tilted his head, eyes scanning her dress. "You a model, right? Saw you on some billboard downtown. Guess the white folks love that foreign look." Another chimed in, voice dripping with mockery. "Ain't nothing foreign about her. That's just a black girl dressed up to look expensive." Naomi's lips pressed tight. She had fought for years to keep her career alive, swallowing comments from photographers who told her they already had a dark-skinned model, or asked if she could tone down the attitude. Yet here she was, dragged back into the gutter by men who mirrored the same language of ownership. One leaned in close, his breath sharp with alcohol. "So, what's the secret, huh? You sleep with the bosses. That how you got your face up on posters?" Naomi's eyes flicked to his, cold, unmoving. "Step back," he chuckled, but his laughter carried unease. "Yo, she feisty. Y'all hear that? Thinks she a queen. Queens don't walk alone." Another snap. "Queens got armies. You just a scared girl in heels." Her silence infuriated them. Their voices overlapped, claws of prejudice scratching at her calm. "Too dark for the cover of Vogue. Bet the agency only keeps her cause diversity looks good." Bet she'd look better if she lightened that skin. Naomi's pulse thudded against her temples. Every word was familiar, every insult recycled from boardrooms and casting calls, but spat with venom instead of fake smiles. The tall one leaned closer, grinning. Say something, girl. You got a mouth when the camera's on you. Where's it now? Naomi inhaled slowly. I said move. He laughed again, but there was tension beneath it. What you gonna do if we don't? Another voice behind her sneered. She ain't gonna do nothing. She too scared to even look at us. The circle tightened. One reached for her arm, fingers brushing against her skin. She jerked back, heels scraping. Don't touch me. His grin widened. Or what? The others laughed, a pack feeding off each other's bravado. Their words weren't just harassment, they were a performance. Each line aimed at stripping her down, making her small. Naomi's breath steadied, though her heart raced. Her mother's voice echoed again. The world will try to remind you of your place. Never forget, your place is wherever you choose to stand. She glanced at the brick walls hemming her in, the shadows cast long and sharp. She could feel the weight of her own silence pressing back against theirs. But silence had a breaking point. The tall one took another step forward, his tone dropping low, no longer playful. You think ignoring us makes you safe. Out here, nobody cares about your pretty little face. Out here, you're just another body. The alley grew colder, the laughter faded, replaced by a thick, tense quiet. Naomi stood motionless, but her eyes sharpened. She did not move yet, she did not speak again, but deep inside, something shifted, a coil winding, waiting. The men smirked, convinced of her fear, circling closer. None of them noticed the storm building behind her stillness. Naomi's stillness in the alley was not new. It was learned, a discipline carved into her bones years before. The voices of the men blurred for a moment, replaced by another memory, a small, humid gym in Brooklyn. The sharp slap of bare feet on wooden floors, the scent of sweat and old mats. A younger Naomi, no more than 10, bowing before a line of students, her GI hung loose on her shoulders, belt tied awkwardly around her waist. Again, her sensei said, voice clipped, commanding, kata is not movement, it is focus. The body obeys the mind obeys discipline. She had stumbled through the routine, fists swinging too fast, breathing uneven. Other kids laughed. One whispered, she's too skinny, she can't fight. That same whisper lived in the alley now, though dressed in older voices, dripping with malice. The memory pressed forward. Her mother, sitting in the back of the gym, tired from 2 jobs, but clapping the loudest. After practice, she pulled Naomi aside. You hear what they said? Her mother asked. Naomi nodded, eyes down. Then let it fuel you. Don't waste energy on proving them wrong with words. You prove it with what you do. Years passed in quick fragments. Naomi sparring, taking hits, rising again. Her sensei correcting her stance. Tighten, breathe through your core. A fist flying toward her face, her hand snapping up to block. Black eyes, bruises, tears, each one turned into fuel. At 16, she stood in the same gym, older, sharper. Her belt, solid black, wrapped clean around her waist. Her sensei tied it himself, speaking low so only she could hear. Restraint is power until it becomes survival. You'll know the difference. That sentence never left her. Back in the alley, Naomi's jaw set. The men's taunts echoed the voices of the past week. Too dark, too small, too soft. But beneath the sequins and heels, every muscle in her body remembered the training. Her balance was steady, her center unshaken. One of the men snapped his fingers in her face, jerking her back into the present. Yo, dream girl, wake up. We talking to you. Naomi's gaze lifted slowly, eyes locked onto him. For the first time, he flinched. Something in her stare, calm, measured, unblinking, unsettled him. You deaf or what? Another pressed, louder. Naomi's silence held. They mistook it for fear. They mistook her stillness for surrender. But deep inside, Naomi was counting breaths, feeling the ground beneath her heels, listening to the cadence of their voices the way she once listened for an opponent's rhythm in the dojo. 1 breath, 2, 3. The storm in her chest settled into something cold, deliberate. In that moment, she knew the line between restraint and survival was thinning, and when it snapped, she would be ready. The circle closed tighter, their sneakers scraped against the wet ground, their laughter sharpening into something meaner. Naomi stood still, her hands at her sides, eyes locked on the tall one in front of her. He smirked, mistaking her calm for weakness. You got no words now? he taunted. All that glam, all that attitude, and you quiet when it counts. Another chimed in from behind her. Maybe she waiting for one of us to make the first move. Naomi's breath steadied, deep from the diaphragm, just like her sensei had drilled into her. Her voice came low, calm, precise. Don't touch me again. The alley froze for a heartbeat. The men looked at one another, surprised at the steel in her tone. Then, as if on cue, they burst into laughter. Yo, she warning us. She thinks she in some movie. A warning. Girl, you don't get to warn nobody out here. The tall one stepped forward, closing the last of the space between them. His hand shot out, fingers clamping around her arm. In that instant, silence broke. Naomi's body reacted before thought could interfere. Her foot pivoted, her hips turned, and her free hand snapped across his wrist in a sharp motion. He gasped, grip collapsing. She twisted, stepping aside, sending him stumbling forward. What the? He hissed, clutching his wrist. The others froze, stunned. Naomi's voice cut through, colder this time. I said, don't touch me. One of them snarled, stepping closer. Yo, who the hell you think you are? She squared her stance, shoulders loose, eyes never leaving him. I don't think, I know. The tall one recovered, anger replacing his smirk. She playing games. Teach her a lesson. Another rushed forward, hand aiming for her shoulder. Naomi's body moved with precision. Sidestep, palm strike to his chest. He staggered back, air ripped from his lungs. The group erupted. Shouts, curses, disbelief. What the hell was that? She hit him. She really hit him. Naomi's eyes scanned them all. Steady, calculating. Her tone remained level. Leave now. Walk away. Her restraint only inflamed them. You think you're tough 'cause you know some moves. This ain't no dojo, girl. We'll break you. One lunged at her. Naomi pivoted, caught his momentum, and swept his leg from beneath him. He crashed onto the ground with a grunt, cursing as he scrambled back. The others hesitated, caught between fear and rage. Naomi's voice cut again, sharper now. This is your last warning. The alley crackled with tension. No more laughter, no more mockery, only the sound of heavy breathing, the weight of disbelief. The tall one spat on the ground, glaring. You think you can fight us all, you just one girl. Naomi's jaw tightened, but her words came steady. I don't need to fight you all. I only need to stop whoever touches me. Her eyes swept over them like blades, unwavering. For the first time, the pack faltered. Their bravado wavered under the pressure of her calm. But pride was a heavy chain. None of them wanted to back down first. The tall one raised his chin, hiding his unease. All right then, you asked for it. The group tensed, ready to swarm. Naomi inhaled, centering herself. Her silence had ended. The storm was about to begin. The first lunge came from the left. Naomi's body reacted instantly, sidestep, her palm cutting upward into the man's jaw. The crack of impact echoed through the alley. He dropped, clutching his face. The others shouted in disbelief. She dropped him. What the? She ain't normal. Another rushed in, swinging wildly. Naomi ducked low, her heel pivoting on the wet pavement. A sharp kick to his stomach folded him in half, air exploding from his lungs. He staggered back, gasping, eyes wide. Yo, what is she? One STAMMERED. Naomi didn't answer. Her silence was sharper than their words. The tall one bellowed, trying to steady the others. Don't just stand there, get her. Two came at once. Naomi's body moved fluidly, each strike calculated. She blocked one punch, her elbow snapping into the attacker's ribs. He yelped, stumbling sideways. The other tried to grab her from behind, but she shifted weight, hips twisting, and flung him over her shoulder onto the ground. His back smacked the asphalt with a thud that silenced the alley. Breathless curses filled the air. This ain't real. She's a damn demon. Naomi stood poised, her sequined dress torn at the hem, heels still balanced on cracked concrete. Her chest rose and fell steadily. Every motion spoke of control, not frenzy. The tall one's face twisted with rage. He charged, throwing a heavy punch. Naomi sidestepped, her hand guiding his momentum. She drove her knee into his gut. He collapsed, choking on his breath. For a moment, nobody moved. The pack that once laughed at her, mocked her, circled her like prey, now stared in disbelief. Their insults faltered, replaced with fear bleeding into their tones. She ain't just a model. She's trained. No way. She just one tried to rally, pointing. She can't take all of us forever. Wear her down. But Naomi's eyes cut through him, calm, sharp, final. you're already finished. Her words landed heavier than any strike. Still, desperation pushed another forward. He swung clumsily, a wide arc. Naomi ducked, rose, and her fist connected with precision under his chin. He fell back, legs buckling. The alley was littered with groans, curses, the sound of sneakers dragging against pavement. Their confidence dissolved, replaced by disbelief at their own humiliation. Naomi lowered her stance, scanning the group. Her voice carried, steady and cold. This is the last time I'll say it. Leave. Silence held for several seconds, broken only by their ragged breathing. Then, one by one, they began to retreat, pulling their fallen friends up. Some glared at her with wounded pride. Others avoided her eyes entirely. The tall one, clutching his stomach, spat blood onto the ground. This ain't over, he growled, but the shake in his voice betrayed him. Naomi's gaze locked on him. It's already over. The weight of her words landed, unshakable. He looked away, retreating with the others. The alley emptied, leaving only the echo of their footsteps fading into the night. Naomi stood alone, shoulders rising with controlled breaths. The adrenaline hummed through her veins, but her face remained composed. In the quiet aftermath, she adjusted the strap of her bag, straightened what remained of her dress, and walked forward. Each step was measured, as though the fight had been nothing more than another runway dot behind her. The city roared on horns, blaring, neon lights flashing, life continuing unaware. But for those men, the night would not fade as they had expected a victim. Instead, they had met a storm dot, and for Naomi, silence had broken for good. The fight should have ended in silence, but silence in the city never lasted. Phones were already out, glowing screens raised high from the edges of the alley. A group of bystanders had gathered, drawn by the noise. Some cheered her, voices laced with awe. Yo, she dropped all of them. That was insane, like some movie scene. Others shook their heads, whispers sharp and judgmental. She too aggressive. See how hard she hit them? That's assault. No wonder she walked into trouble dressed like that. Naomi heard every word. Applause and condemnation blurred together. Another familiar chorus. Admiration laced with suspicion. Respect poisoned by bias. The sirens came late. Red and blue lights painted the alley. The men she had dismantled were gone, but their bruises and curses lingered in the crowd's retelling. 2 officers pushed through. One, older, white, with a clipped tone. The other, younger, black, silent but watchful. The older officer stepped forward, scanning Naomi from head to toe. His eyes lingered on the torn dress, the sequins dulled by grit. What happened here? He demanded. Bystanders spoke over one another. She defended herself. They tried to grab her. Nah, she went crazy on them. Look at what she did. Check the videos. Man, she wrecked those dudes. The officer raised a hand for silence, then turned to Naomi. Your side. Her voice was calm. They harassed me, surrounded me. One grabbed me. I defended myself. His eyes narrowed. And you expect me to believe you handled a group of men on your own? Naomi held his gaze. Believe what you want. It happened. The younger officer shifted uncomfortably, glancing at the bystanders still recording. He muttered, almost under his breath, check the phones. You'll see. But the older one ignored him, his tone growing sharper. Why didn't you call for help instead of escalating? Naomi's jaw tightened. I didn't escalate. I survived. The word hung heavy. Some in the crowd nodded, others scoffed. The officer scribbled in his notepad, his expression unreadable. Name. She gave. He paused, recognition flickering. You're that model. Saw your face on a billboard last week. The weight in his tone was not admiration. It was suspicion. He muttered as he wrote, loud enough for Naomi to hear. These types always cause trouble. The younger officer's head snapped up. Sir, the older one cut him off. That'll be all for now. We'll be in touch. The bystanders dispersed slowly, still buzzing, still recording. Naomi stood alone again, though the echo of judgment clung tighter than before. As the patrol car pulled away, her mother's words whispered back across the years. They will always try to write your story for you. Make sure your truth speaks louder. Naomi adjusted her torn dress, lifted her chin, and walked out of the alley. The whispers followed her, carried by phones and screens that would not let the night die quietly. By morning, the city had already devoured the story. Clips of Naomi's fight looped across timelines, hashtags multiplying like wildfire. Some celebrated her, black excellence in motion. She defended herself with grace and power. Others condemned, unprofessional, violent, Another angry black woman, proving the stereotype. Naomi sat in her apartment, the glow of her phone screen reflecting off her tired eyes. Her mother called, voice trembling with pride and fear. "Baby, you did what you had to do. Don't let them twist it." Naomi answered softly. "They already are." Her agent's number flashed. Next. Reluctantly, she answered. "Naomi, listen." The agent's voice was clipped. "Urgent. The brands are panicking. Some are calling it a PR nightmare." Naomi's throat tightened. "I defended myself. I know. But the narrative isn't clean. They don't want controversy attached to their campaigns." A bitter laugh escaped her. "So they'd rather I had been beaten quietly." Silence on the line. Then, a sigh. "Look, I'm just telling you what they're saying. They think you should stay quiet. Lay low. Let it blow over." Naomi's voice sharpened. "You mean, disappear?" "Temporary," the agent insisted. "You've worked too hard to throw it away now." The call ended, leaving the room heavy with betrayal. Naomi had given them her face, her walk, her silence at every racist remark behind the scenes. Yet, when the truth surfaced, when her humanity demanded defense, they withdrew. Another call came. This one from a fashion director she'd admired. "Naomi, darling," the woman began, tone syrupy. "I saw the videos. Shocking, really. But the industry thrives on image. And right now, your image is dangerous." "Dangerous?" Naomi asked, voice low. "Yes. Brands invest in dreams, not fights in dark alleys. Perhaps if you issue an apology." Naomi's laugh cut sharp. "Apologize for surviving." The director's tone soured. "Don't be difficult. Opportunities vanish quickly." The line went dead. Naomi stared at her reflection in the window. The same split reflection she had seen the night before. This time, it wasn't fear staring back. It was clarity. They wanted her silence. They wanted her compliance. They wanted her to wear resilience as an accessory but never wield it as a weapon. Her fists clenched. Her mother's voice echoed. "Make sure your truth speaks louder." Naomi closed her phone. She had played their silent game long enough. Naomi stood in front of her mirror, phone in hand. The industry wanted her quiet. The streets wanted her broken. The public wanted her image, but not her truth. She pressed record. Her voice came steady, sharp as glass. "My name is Naomi Carter. Last night, I was harassed by a group of men. They mocked my skin, my body, my career. When one of them grabbed me, I defended myself. That's all you saw in those videos. Survival." She paused, eyes burning into the lens. "But survival for women who look like me is never simple. We're told to take it, to stay silent, to not make trouble. When we fight back, we're called violent. When we speak, we're called angry. And when we survive, they say we don't deserve to stand where we are." The words poured out, not rehearsed, but honed by years of swallowing silence. "I will not apologize for defending myself. I will not apologize for being black. I will not apologize for being strong. If that makes brands uncomfortable, so be it. My body is not for sale. My dignity is not negotiable." She ended the recording and uploaded it without hesitation. By morning, the internet erupted again. This time, the narrative split sharper. Supporters flooded timelines. She spoke the truth. Powerful, brave, necessary. Critics frothed louder. Career suicide. She's ungrateful. Brands made her. Always playing the victim card. But Naomi's words spread faster than their scorn. Activists, journalists, and everyday women amplified her video. Hashtags shifted. The conversation changed. Meanwhile, the men from the alley discovered their faces splashed across screens. The bystander videos, once focused on Naomi, now zoomed on their leers, their slurs, their aggression. Employers took notice. One lost his job within hours. Another's scholarship was revoked. Their online histories surfaced a trail of harassment, threats, cruelty. Karma didn't come quietly. It came like a flood. Naomi watched the unraveling from her apartment, not gloating, but steady. She hadn't planned vengeance. Truth had done the work for her. Her agent called again, voice tight. "Naomi, your statement blew up. You're trending worldwide. Some brands pulled out, but others are calling. They want you for campaigns now. They're selling empowerment." Naomi's tone was ice. "They weren't calling yesterday." "I know," the agent admitted, "but this is momentum. You can shape it." Naomi ended the call without reply. She wasn't here to sell empowerment. She was here to live it. That evening, she walked the streets again, head high, same city, but a different weight in her steps. The whispers hadn't disappeared. Some eyes still lingered too long. Some mouths still curled with contempt. But now, Others nodded at her, quietly, reverently. A young black girl tugged her mother's sleeve and pointed, whispering, "That's her." Naomi met the girl's eyes, and for the first time since the alley, she smiled. She hadn't just broken the circle of men that night. She had cracked the larger silence that tried to cage her. The chains were breaking, and she wasn't done yet. The city courthouse was packed, not for a legal trial, but for a press conference that felt like one. Naomi sat at the front table, flanked by her lawyer and a women's rights advocate. Microphones pointed at her like spears. Cameras blinked with hungry eyes. The moderator spoke first. "We're here to address recent events involving model Naomi Carter." The first reporter shot up. "Naomi, did you use excessive force against your alleged harassers?" Naomi's lawyer leaned forward. "Excessive force. These men cornered her, mocked her race, groped her. She defended herself. That's not force. That's survival." Another voice cut in. "But isn't it true that brands are dropping you? Doesn't that prove your image is tarnished?" Naomi took the mic herself. Her voice didn't waver. "My image was never meant to comfort racists. If brands can't stand behind a black woman who defends herself, then those brands were never mine to lose." Murmurs rippled through the room. Some reporters scribbled eagerly. Others frowned, sharpening their knives. A third questioner asked, "Do you regret making your viral video?" Naomi's gaze cut like a blade. "Regret? No. Silence is what I regret. Every time I swallowed harassment. Every time I smiled through disrespect. Every time I played small to fit their comfort. That's what I regret. Speaking truth, never." The advocate beside her nodded, amplifying the moment. What happened to Naomi is not isolated. It happens daily, to countless women who don't have cameras to prove it. The focus shouldn't be on her defending herself, but on why harassment is tolerated in the first place. The tension shifted. For the first time, the room seemed less like a trial, more like a reckoning. Outside the courthouse, crowds gathered. Protesters held signs. "Her body, her right. Defense is not a crime. Stop blaming survivors." Chants rose, loud enough to bleed through the courthouse walls. Naomi heard them faintly and clenched her fists under the table, grounding herself in the noise of solidarity. But backlash lingered. On screens across the nation, pundits debated her case. Some called her an inspiration. Others called her a menace. Talk shows invited panels of men to analyze whether Naomi had gone too far. That night, Naomi sat with her lawyer, watching the coverage. "Public opinion isn't justice," her lawyer warned. "It's fickle. Today, they cheer. Tomorrow, they'll move on." Naomi nodded slowly. "Then I'll make sure they don't move on." Her phone buzzed with notifications, offers for interviews, invitations for panels. Some were exploitative, but others were genuine calls for her voice. She exhaled, heavy but resolute. The battle wasn't just in alleys, in fashion boardrooms, or in online threads. It was here, in the open, where truth and lies wrestled for dominance. And Naomi had decided she wouldn't let her story be twisted into spectacle. She would own it, shape it, force it to stand as proof that silence was no longer an option. The court of public opinion wasn't fair. It wasn't clean, but it was where revolutions began. Naomi was ready to fight there too. Naomi stood on a stage, lit with white-hot lights. Not a runway this time, but a community forum broadcast live. The hall was filled with activists, students, survivors, and allies. Cameras streamed the event worldwide. Her voice carried without tremor. "I was harassed, mocked, and grabbed on a public street. When I defended myself, the world rushed to decide whether I had the right to survive. What does that say about us? About justice? About value?" The crowd was silent, listening. Every word landed like stone on still water. Naomi continued. "They tried to strip me of dignity. Brands dropped me. Strangers called me dangerous. But here I stand, not because I am exceptional, but because silence was no longer possible, because too many others do not have the stage, or the cameras, or the chance to be heard." Applause broke out, swelling like a tide. Backstage, one of the men from the alley watched on a monitor. His life had unraveled, fired from his job, evicted from his apartment, shunned by friends. He had tried to sue Naomi, but the public videos condemned him instead. His lawyer dropped him. His name was now synonymous with shame. Justice hadn't come in a courtroom. It came through exposure, through truth, a justice that looked less like punishment and more like consequence. The broadcast cut to panels of commentators. Some still tried to twist the story, to paint Naomi as aggressor, but their voices were drowned out by the swelling support online. Millions used her name not as gossip, but as a banner. Hashtags read, hashtag defend her, hashtag silence is violence, hashtag Naomi Carter, Naomi single quotes as image-filled screens, not as a brand's accessory but as a woman, unbroken. After the forum, she stepped outside. The night air was sharp, but the crowd waiting for her was warm. A line of women held candles. A chant rose, "Her fight is our fight." Naomi didn't cry. She stood in the glow of the candles, in the heat of solidarity, in the proof that resistance had become movement. Her agent approached cautiously. "Naomi, major brands want you again. Documentaries, campaigns, talk shows, this could redefine your career." Naomi looked at him, steady. "I don't need them to define me anymore. I'll choose who deserves my name beside theirs." No more silence, no more compromise. For the first time, her agent didn't argue, he only nodded. The next morning, headlines blazed, "Model turns assault into movement." Naomi Carter, the woman who fought back. The men who had tormented her slipped further into obscurity, their faces blurred into cautionary tales, remembered only as shadows in Naomi's rise. And Naomi, she walked forward with scars, with memory, with strength sharpened by fire. The streets hadn't changed overnight. Racism and harassment didn't vanish with one victory, but the silence that had once cloaked it cracked, and light poured through. Naomi Carter was no longer just a model. She was a mirror, reflecting a world's ugliness back at itself, refusing to let anyone look away. That was justice. Not clean, not comfortable, but true. And for once, the world had no choice but to listen.